Alright, so in this video guys, I'm going to show you the 4-3-2-1 tactics that I used this weekend league that got me to rank 1. I went 19-1, so only one game lost. Yeah, I'm going to go over to my team, I'm going to go over the formation, the instructions, and the tactics in game, and how you're going to want to play that 4-3-2-1 in order to succeed in game. So first, you're obviously going to want to load up the tactics screen, and then I have it set to attacking because my defensive oriented formation is a 4-2-3-1. Since 4-3-2-1 is a more attacking based formation, there's more players going up the field. I would say it's more attacking based, so I usually play 4-2-3-1 in a balanced game, but 4-3-2-1 is going to be more attacking oriented. So if you need to attack, if you need to score goals, you want to use a 4-3-2-1. Defensive style, balanced. Every single formation you do, it doesn't matter what you're doing, always keep it on balance. Don't listen to any other guy that tells you to do something that isn't balanced, because when you do something that's specific, it's only going to do that. That sounds confusing, but what I'm trying to say is, let's say press after possession loss. If you have balance, your AI are going to press after possession loss whenever it's necessary. Drop back, well, you don't even want to drop back, because this formation, as you can see, has 72 depth. There's a reason why we're doing exactly 72 depth. In this game, there's like a little thing where at exactly 72 depth, your players will automatically do the offside trap. I believe it might be like 70 depth or something like that. But either way, a high depth in general will give your team an offside trap automatically. However, that's not why we're doing this here. With high depth, it pushes your players, not only your defensive line up. People think it's just a defensive line that get pushed up with high depth, but actually your midfield gets pushed high up as well. So that means your players are pressing the ball higher up the pitch, preventing the other team from actually getting into the box and, scoring goals. You want this, that way the enemy team won't be able to get the ball up the field and in front of your box in order to shoot. You want them stuck in the half or around the 50 area. You don't want them in front of your box at all. With width, I do 45. There's not really a particular reason why. I've never seen any point in wide defense. The fullbacks normally don't need that much space, so 45 is perfect. Same thing goes with build-up play. You always want it on balance because you want your team to be a combination of everything. Balance lets the AI do the stuff for you. You don't want to just focus on one because you're just limiting the way you're going to attack, With direct passing, I feel like, again, this is probably the best way. I don't think there's any other chance creation you can use for any other formation. Direct passing, in my opinion, is like the best option you have. You don't want to use any of these other ones really, because really they're not really as good as direct passing. Direct passing is a combination of the players getting in behind so you can do through balls while also still coming short. That way you always have people to pass to. When you do something like forward runs, the players are all going to be going through and behind the defense. It's going to limit your passing options. While with direct passing, your players aren't going to be going and making through runs. So in my opinion, direct passing is the best of both worlds. Same with width, 45 width, and then you want 7 players in the box. You're not going to literally have 7 players though. You'll see as I go to the instructions, there's not literally 7 players that do go into the box. It's just, you'll see. And then corners, this doesn't really matter. This is personal preference. 3, 4, it doesn't really matter. I just don't make sure your free kicks and corners is not like 4 or something. That's completely unnecessary. You're just going to expose yourself to the counterattack. And then for formation, 4-3-2-1 obviously. And you're going to see the players I selected right here. Starting with the front 3 right here, you're going to see that obviously in game, the game considers this as 3 strikers. These right here are, this is left striker, right striker. And that's not an exaggeration. These are strikers. Do not get them confused for wingers. They might look like wingers. They are not wingers. They effectively operate as 3 strikers. And what you're going to see is when you play this formation in game, hopefully if you have players with high attacking work rates, they're going to be so annoying to the defensive line because they're going to be making so many moves. That way they're going to be making runs in behind the defense, or just coming short. They're just going to be like on a horizontal level, on a vertical level. They're going to be making so many annoying runs that they're always going to be available for passes. So you're going to want players that are fast up front, players that are running a lot with high attacking work rates, and players that are very good on the ball. That way they can receive the ball, turn around, and shoot and score. And then starting with your midfield, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. You want 2 players right here, Awar and Modric. These are box-to-box midfielders effectively. You'll see when I get more into detail later. But you want 2 players right here that are like Gillet midfielders. They're good at everything. And then right here, I would recommend something like De Bruyne or something like that. You want a player that's more attacking oriented but can still defend, someone with at least 70 defending. But if you can't get that, that's fine. I had to put Kubo here because I couldn't fit De Bruyne because of chemistry. And Kubo here is fine. If you have a winger, it works too. But bonus points if you can find a player like KDB that is very good attacking and can still drop back too. You can put Modric here too, honestly. It's just, I liked Modric here instead. So take who you can get, honestly. And the defensive line doesn't really matter. Just make sure you have fast defenders. Just make sure your center backs are strong. You need strong defenders. Darmian right here is not strong. I'm only putting him here because of chemistry. I'm praying that there's an upcoming player SBC that can replace Darmian because he's not good. He's weak. Same with Rudiger almost. Rudiger is not necessarily that strong. He's not weak, but he could be stronger. Spinazzola, fast but weak. Marcus Llorente, he's okay. Pace is just as important as strength this year because of the new defending system where that allows the players to like shoulder up for the ball. You're going to want strong defenders because there's no point getting fast defenders if they can't get the ball. And then for instructions, starting with the striker, you're going to want him on default. That way, he's just a balanced striker. You don't want him to... You can put him on stay central, but you don't want him on stay central because you want him to make movements all over the field up front. That way, he's going to drag players of the defensive line away from where they're supposed to be. And then players, these wingers or these half wingers right here, they're going to be strikers in game. They're going to take that spot that he's opening. This player right here is not going to be scoring many goals if you pay attention to how you play this formation. It's really going to be these midfielders right here and then the other strikers right here. And then you're going to see from here, these two strikers right here, one's going to be on stay central. The other one's going to be on balance width. To be specific, let's start on the one on the right. Stay central, get in behind, and stay forward. Stay forward is just here for the sake of counterattacking. You don't want only one person up front. That's kind of lame. So stay forward, but that's not really necessarily important. You're going to want get in behind. That way he's going to be behind the defense because the player that you want to get the ball to feet is going to be the striker. Dybala right here is going to be the one that gets in behind from the space the striker makes. Same goes with Rafael Leao. He's not on stay central because he's going to act more as like a winger a little bit. He's going to be going out wide, but he's still going to be central very often. Bounce width just lets the AI think and figure out for itself what's the best idea. So he might be all the way wide if there's space there, or he's going to be in the middle with the striker, Correa right here, for the sake of whatever is best. And obviously getting behind because he's going to be very applicable in getting behind. And then come back on defense. That way, you know, there's not too many people up front staying up. And then with the midfield right here, starting with Aouar, he's the CDM. He's going to be on stay back while attacking, but he's not literally a CDM. What he's going to do is during the attack, he's going to act as an anchor. An anchor as in, let's say you need a restart play or whatever. He's going to be available not at the 50. He's not going to be all the way back with the center backs right here. He's going to be like in between the center backs and the strikers. That sounds obvious, but like literally like the gap between the strikers and Aouar is going to be the same between Aouar and the center backs. And then with Modric right here, also stay back while attacking, but like I said, he's a CM and he's a CDM, so they're not going to be in the same spots. And with stay on the edge of the box for a cross, I know it says stay back while attacking, but you need to play this formation in game to realize he's not going to literally stay back. Stay back while attacking just prevents him from making like ridiculous runs into the box. It's gonna like limit him almost to not go into the box, and he's not gonna necessarily be on the edge of the box, but he's going to be like 25-30 yards from the goal. That way he's still an option in the attack and he doesn't overexpose. That way you're protected on the counter attack. Kubo, on the other hand, this is going to be probably the MVP, the best player you're going to have on your field. The reason why I say this is because all of that movement your strikers are creating up here, Kubo, with these instructions right here, it's going to allow the AI to think for itself and try to find holes for Kubo to attack. With cover wing, he's going to be more around the pitch. He might be all the way on the wing, or he might be in the middle. Again, it's letting the game figure out what area is best for him to sit. Balance attack again, and get in box with cross again. It's allowing the AI to figure out what spot is best. Sometimes the best way to play this game is to let the AI do the work for you. You don't want to put too much effort on yourself. Let the AI figure out where the players need to go instead of trying to figure out where you're going to place the players. With Kubo like this, basically whenever a hole is created in the defense, if your player is good enough, he's going to penetrate that hole. He's going to make a deep run, and you can easily send him a through ball. Or if there's a lack of a hole, he's still going to push up and act almost as like he's literally going to be a camp. So remember that this player right here, he's going to be making the most movement in terms of dribbling, and he's going to be making a lot of goals. So you're going to want someone that can shoot really good, and you're going to want someone that can dribble, and you're going to want someone that's fast. Whoever you normally play at cam in any other formation is someone you want right here. This brings me to remind you about the 7 players in the box. Now you might be wondering, why is there 7 players in the box, but the formation doesn't necessarily fit 7 players in the box? Seven players is going to be the maximum of players that are going to even go up to begin with. Don't confuse players in the box with players that literally go in the box. It's going to be players that step up. When I say this, when I play with fullbacks right here, for instance, sometimes I'll make a run with one of them and I want them to enter the attack as an unexpected player. 7 will keep them in the box for the remainder of the attack and keep 3 of these players behind. That way, if you have it at 4 whatever, it's going to literally cap the amount of players that will go up at 4 and then send the rest back. If you want to do that, go ahead, but this formation is not for you if that's how you want to play. That's too defensive for me. I don't like playing like that. I like playing with all-out attack. With that being said, these players right here, like I said, do not get confused and think they're going to go into the box. This is just giving them the freedom to go into the box when necessary. They're not all going to go into the box. That's just not possible, especially if they stay back while attacking. However, they're still going to go up the field and penetrate the attack whenever it's possible and whenever they have the space. Instead of just making clueless runs and running into the defense for no reason, they're going to use their AI and figure out when it's a good idea to. And you'll know in game, when you see them wide open right in front of the box, you'll know that the AI is telling you what to do. You can see obviously Rafael Leão, and then you have the other 2 strikers, and then you can see the 2 midfielders from earlier that I mentioned. And then if you look all the way to the right, you can see Kubo right there. The reason why he's there, even though he's a cam in the formation and we kind of technically, we basically configured him to be like a cam, he's going there because he sees space and the AI is instructing him to go there. However, you can see that it's not really the best space. He's not really accessible because the game's not always going to be perfect. The game probably wants him to receive a cross right now, but obviously I don't play crosses. But if you do, that's an option for you. He's not always going to be in that spot. He's going to find a spot wherever up front of the field there is space. And you don't need a third midfielder. You never do. A double pivot in the midfield, Modric and Aouar, perfect for me. The moment you can see right there, Kubo tracks back. Again, AI, that's all AI. He's doing whatever the team needs from him because he's like an extra player. And then again, if you just stay and watch how he plays, notice how he's making so many movements. And then watch the attackers up front as well. They're constantly available. If you can get the ball to their feet and then you can do like a skill move or some sort of move to get them out and into the front of the goal, you're like, it's free goals constantly. And don't forget the way these players are positioned. They're always going to be tucked by the center backs, so they're going to be very frustrating to defend against. If you're playing with, let's say, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, you're going to realize that they're too contested out wide, and that can be frustrating when you're trying to score goals, but your players are out wide where they're in positions where they cannot shoot. This formation prevents that from happening. Other than the tactics I just explained to you, there's a style of play that I have adapted to make this formation and to just make my gameplay overall work very well in my run to rank 1 in Weekend League this week. With that being said, here's a few tips that I have that you guys should learn and should adapt into your game as well to maximize your success. One of which I've spoke about in a previous video is time finishing. I can't urge any further how much you need time finishing. Early this FIFA, there's going to be a lack of good goalkeepers. And with things like the Trivela playstyles, of finesse shot playstyles, if you can learn how to tie and finish with those playstyles, you're going to get free goals constantly from outside the box. So I'd highly recommend time finishing with combinations of Trivela, finesse shot playstyles, especially the playstyle plus. Those are so OP with the time finishing on. So learn how to time finish, especially with this formation. The midfielders are going to have a lot of open space because they're going to be positioned to move into areas and pockets of space in front of the box. You're going to have so many shooting opportunities, especially opportunities where your strikers aren't always going to be accessible. So you need to learn when to take the long shots and how to guarantee the success. Time finishing is perfect for that. Power shots aren't that good. They're too predictable with their animation, and precision shooting is honestly kind of useless. I don't see why they even added it to begin with. So time finishing, again, learn time finishing. Another thing that you have to learn with this formation that is very, very important is watch who you do the pass and goes to. For context, pass and go is when you hold LB or L1 and then you pass and then the player goes and runs. Or you can just hold LB and L1 while dribbling and then the player closest to you or the player that you're pointing at will run. Don't use that. You need to, or very rarely you need to be using that. Honestly, I would only use it on my fullbacks because that way all they need to do is run straight. The problem with this is that there's no AI behind it, there's no logic behind it. All it does is it just makes your player run straight. This sounds good, however, this formation has a lot of sudden movement where it's not just going straight up. There's a lot of horizontal movement, vertical movement, all different types of movement, and just making them go straight up just reduces the amount of potential that you're going to have in terms of finding space and entering those pockets of space. When you just have them go straight up, they're very easy to look at, they're very easy to notice, and they're also very easy to defend against. Let the AI make runs for you, because they will make runs for you. Like I said, the only time you want to do the pass and go or trigger a run yourself is if it's a fullback, because really all fullbacks need to do is bomb down the wings and overlap. Other than that, do not use this on the midfielders, don't use this on the strikers. Don't, just please, I beg you. Another thing is adapting your passing. A lot of people, and I say a lot, even going into elite division, a lot of people tend to pass just blindly passing, like passing without an objective. Tiki-taka even. You need to learn to pass with a sole goal in mind. Don't just pass for the sake of passing. Every single pass you do has to have a reason for it. Maybe you might not know what to do right away, but with one pass, you need to have an idea on what the next pass after is going to be. If you're just passing for the sake of passing, you're going to be predictable, you're not going to progress the ball, and quite frankly, you're not going to score any goals because you're just passing to whoever's open. That's why I'm using co-op for this weekend league. I realize that with this formation, there's a lot of players up the field that are going to be open. The strikers are going to be open pretty often. There's going to be a lot of through ball opportunities down the middle. So what you're going to want to do is be able to notice these passes. So I use co-op camera for this weekend league. I was able to see a lot of good passes that I wouldn't have seen with telebroadcast or any other camera. So I used co-op, and this elevated my passing a lot better than what it previously was. I highly recommend you guys use co-op if you're using this formation as well, because you're going to notice your strikers are going to be going in behind on the counterattacks. They're going to be open a lot. They're going to mismatch, or they're going to outnumber the defenders that are there. So I'd highly recommend co-op if you do use this formation. You don't have to, that's just my personal recommendation. But yeah, in general, just keep in mind, keep an eye on your passing. Try to figure out what you're going to pass for and what the objective is. And for one pass, while that pass is being done, you need to be thinking about what you're going to do next, if that makes sense. There's one more final tip that I have that is very, very important, arguably the most important, and this is going to apply to any formation that you do in this FIFA, is defending, obviously, and the new defending system and how you're exactly going to want to defend. This isn't like previous FIFAs. In previous FIFAs, you can just tackle like 20 times a game. If you make a tackle this FIFA and you mess up, you're going to get punished. While in previous FIFAs, if you made a tackle, your player will just get right back up and he can just tackle again like it's nothing. There was no recovery time previously. Now there is a recovery time. So every single tackle you do is a gamble. So if you mess up and you don't get the ball, your player is going to be on the floor, or the player's going to be like in the little animation where he's kind of stuck and he's not going to be able to move as fast, while the other player is going to be pacing away from you. Especially with the new rapid play style and stuff like that, players are going to be very, very fast and your defenders aren't going to catch up. So you have to remember, every single time you attempt a tackle, you have to recognize that as a risk. And you have to recognize the fact there's a risk and there's a reward for every single tackle. So remember that, risk and reward. So recognize every single tackle attempt as a risk and analyze the reward that comes after. Is it worth the tackle, or is it worth just letting the attacker mess up and just let him do the mistake from there? Pressure him into making a mistake, not yourself. There was once an iconic quote said by Paolo Maldini where he says, "If I have to make a slide tackle, I've already made a mistake." And that's really accurate. You don't want to be tackling too much a game. That means you're doing something wrong, because for every tackle, there's going to be a tackle that you miss and the defender falls on the floor while the attacker just goes right past them. And that brings me to advanced defending versus tactical defending. There's a lot of confusion between which one to use, and I'll keep it very simple. Tactical defending is the old defending. Advanced defending is basically the old defending. However, it comes with the new animation for the seal out and the shoulder to shoulder tackles. These tackles are the safest tackles and are the most OP tackles if you can figure out how to use them. They are hard to use. So if you do choose advanced defending and you cope with it being hard at first, but if you adapt, you're going to be better at defending with advanced defending. However, if you're comfortable with old FIFA's defending, tactical defending, you could use that too to keep you comfortable for a little bit. Advanced defending allows you to do that shoulder to shoulder stuff that you see a lot of other players doing. However, like I said, like any other tackle in the game, it's going to come at some risk, because if you miss the tackle, your player is going to be going slow and the attacker is going to make a lot of space off of that. So keep an eye on your defending this FIFA. Oh, this.
Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to lip sync it.
We got the Maguire of wingers right here, blood. Cook up.
Bro,
You green timed it, and it was almost a throw-in. How?